I'm a well-known authority in human behavior, and I have dedicated the last 25 years of my life to researching, studying, trying to understand human behavior, and basically doing research around and study around how we can govern our minds, our actions, our behaviors, so that we can govern all areas of life. So for me, self-mastery is first of all having the ability to govern all areas of your life. So if I have mastered myself, it will lead to me mastering my life. And it starts with mastering our thoughts, our thinking. It starts with our mastering our instinctive and impulsive behavior. So self-mastery now scientifically is having the prefrontal cortex activated 24 hours a day, 7 days a week throughout your life. With the prefrontal cortex activated, you connect with humanity, you connect with the universe, you just expand, you are in connection with one big giant mind, and you are beyond time and space. Like Socrates says, the moment you start questioning your own mind, you start thinking. Because only when you start questioning the automatic thinking habits you have and the judgments you have, what you call right and wrong, only when you start questioning what you have been calling right, you don't connect with who you are, your why, your mission, your gift. But once you do, it's like something amazing happens. You start differentiating from all humans. You become a real leader. You become aware of your gifts, your uniqueness, your power, your real essence.
Good morning, everyone. How's everyone doing today? Good? Yeah? Feeling
Last
good?
day.
Feeling good? Take a break. Just a little stretch. Okay, so welcome to this morning session with Mrs. Nevşah Karamehmet. This is a self-mastery class and Q&A. So I'm very, very, very excited to introduce you to this wonderful powerhouse of a woman, Mrs. Nevşah Karamehmet. She's worked with, in the last 25 years, over 40,000 women, not just, but predominantly, training them in the art of self-mastery. She's trained over 2,000 coaches. She has trained prestigious companies such as CNN, Forbes.
Yeah, I was featured.
Featured,
CNN,
sorry, my apologies. BBC, Forbes, CNN, and you've worked with Vodafone, Pfizer, HSBC,
ING Bank,
okay,
Siemens.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. So maybe we could start with, and you're a successful entrepreneur yourself, you invest in entrepreneurs, you train global business leaders.
Yeah. I'm a best-selling author.
You're a best-selling author, 12 books. It's a lot to remember. There's a lot. It keeps going and it keeps going. So,
12 books.
12 books.
I'm a professional speaker,
Okay.
entrepreneur, serial entrepreneur, still managing some of my companies, part-time CEO of some of my companies, and I'm also an investor.
And you run a self-mastery school.
Yes, I'm a dedicated teacher. I'm a well-known authority in human behavior, and I have dedicated the last 25 years of my life to researching, studying, trying to understand human behavior, and basically doing research around and study around how we can govern our minds, our actions, our behaviors, so that we can govern all areas of life. So that's like, I'm kind of like a bit of a madhouse. I get wild when I start researching. I sometimes don't even hear my husband speaking to me. I'm that deep into my research and study. And of course, in 25 years, if you just cover one topic, and if you keep on asking yourself the question, how can I govern all areas of life? I would like to be successful in all areas of life. I would like to keep on growing in all areas of life. Health, wealth, relationships, family, business, leadership. You eventually find the answers. So I've been researching on different methods. I have worked with over 200 brilliant teachers from all around the world. Liked some of the methods, tested some of their methods, some of the methods that are right now taught around the world, especially around self-development, are not fully scientifically backed, or I might say not scientifically backed enough. for me to use those methods. So I usually choose the methods that can be backed scientifically so that they're effective with everyone I'm working with. And I have created a curriculum over the years around self-mastery. Now I'm getting more and more passionate about helping entrepreneurs because I have been investing in startups for over 6 years now, and I have helped and mentored many entrepreneurs, and I have been a startup entrepreneur myself. I have led my own company since I was 21 years old, and being someone who knows the importance of self-mastery, if you want to master your business or any area of your life, you need to start by mastering yourself first, because without mastering ourselves, there's no way we can master our businesses. So I'm like moving more towards helping entrepreneurs and master their businesses. Yeah.
So that leads me into the question, what is self-mastery?
Yeah, that's a great question. So for me, self-mastery is first of all having the ability to govern all areas of your life. So if I have mastered myself, it will lead to me mastering my life. And it starts with mastering our thoughts, our thinking. It starts with mastering our instinctive and impulsive behavior. And all of the teachers around the world throughout history have been trying to find methods and tools to master our instinctive and impulsive selves. Because as you know, and we covered these topics for the past 2 days, but I'm gonna just cover it again. So it's kind of like when you look at the brain, there is two sides of the story. When you look at human brain, there's the lower parts of the brain, which is the hippocampus and amygdala, which also exists in all mammals, which is led to instinctive and impulsive behavior. So all automatic thinking habits and all behavioral habits are stored in amygdala and hippocampus. Hippocampus is where we learn, just like all mammals do. Hippocampus is where our past stories and experiences are restored, and where we develop new behavioral habits, new automatic behavioral habits aligned with our past experiences. So it's like, that's also how animals learn. That is how I trained my dog Max into being a house animal. He learned new behaviors according to his past experiences. Every time I give him a treat, for example, after he pees outside, he learns to do it outside. So it's kind of like we learn, humans learn, just like all mammals do, certain behaviors, certain automatic behaviors to basically cope with the world. And we also store, in the amygdala, we also store emotions, and amygdala is where all emotions are managed and processed. So amygdala is where we are aroused, where we get excited, where we get in fear, where we get stressed. So we experience emotions in our amygdala, and all mammals also are emotional, just like humans. We are emotional animals. But there is something different, there is something that's differentiating men between animals, is analytical thinking. And when you look at the brain, where analytical thinking is happening is the prefrontal cortex. And not everyone gains the ability throughout their lives to experience life with the prefrontal cortex, or in esoteric traditions, the third eye. Right now, research shows that only 10%, and I just sincerely think it's even below that number, but only 10% of the overall world population is experiencing life with the prefrontal cortex activated. Which means only 10% are visionaries, only 10% plan and intuitively have the ability to see the future, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, only 10% have the ability to analytically think, and only 10% have the ability to govern hippocampus and amygdala. The rest of the world, 90%, the masses, experience life with being triggered and manipulated and by being governed. So self-mastery means actually being one of those people in the 10%. So self-mastery now scientifically is having the prefrontal cortex activated 24 hours a day, 7 days a week throughout your life. So that's been what has led me to dedicating my life to understanding and testing.
So amazing. But what is life like when you activate the prefrontal cortex?
I love the question. Yes.
It's just the obvious question. Like, what happens when you're activated the prefrontal cortex?
Okay. So let's start with what happens when you don't activate the prefrontal cortex. How we experience life. First of all, the prefrontal cortex is all about being a visionary. And when the prefrontal cortex is activated, we constantly see visions. We clearly see our future. So like I've seen myself in London teaching 10 years ago with a clear vision. And I wasn't even thinking about moving to London. This is 10 years ago. Okay. And I started speaking to my friends about it, telling them, I will be in London in the next 3 years. I see myself moving to London. So it's like when the prefrontal cortex is activated, you start experiencing life with clear visions about the future, which leads to, first of all, not having any fear about the future, because you know what's going to happen, what life is going to bring. And the most important thing, I think, is once the prefrontal cortex is activated, you govern all your actions and all your behaviors. So when the prefrontal cortex isn't in place and isn't active, 90% of the world masses, how masses live, is actually like all mammals. So we have experiences in life, not with full consciousness. So it's like someone who is experiencing life with an activated amygdala and hippocampus, first of all, because she or he can't manage his emotions and his thoughts and his behaviors and actions, might be addictive.
So it's reactive.
So the first thing, if the prefrontal cortex isn't activated, if amygdala and hippocampus is leading our lives, we tend to be in addictive, uncontrollable behavior. So people who do not do what they say live life with amygdala and hippocampus active. People who do what they say experience life with the prefrontal cortex. So let me give you an example. I tell myself, and this literally happened, I was very much focused in my business, and I was fully focusing on growing my businesses a year ago, and I didn't pay attention to my health because it wasn't a priority, not health, but in general fitness and all that. So I had 5 extra kilos. 7 months ago, I told myself and my friends, I'm going to be losing 6 kilos in the next 6 months. And I did lose 6 kilos in the next 6 months. I told my family and friends I'm going to be exercising I'm going to start exercising every day for at least an hour. 6 months ago, I am exercising every day, an hour. Like today, I did yoga and came here. I have been exercising, so it's like I do what I say because I manage and govern all my behaviors and actions. If you are led by amygdala and hippocampus, you do not do what you say, and you're having a hard time delivering your message, or you're having a hard time reaching your goals, because people who don't do what they say don't reach their goals. So that's why only 10% of the population are leaders and people who do what they say, they set goals, reach their goals. And life isn't complicated when you experience it with the prefrontal cortex activated. That's, I think, the most important thing. It's not complicated. Because if I have the ability to govern my actions and my behaviors, it's not complicated. I govern my actions and my behaviors and do what I say, reach all my goals. Basic. But the hardest thing is activating them, of course.
But it's fascinating to understand that. But how someone like Elon Musk, for example, the goals that he says, I want to go to Mars. Is that the same kind of concept?
Yes.
So saying that, and explain how does that work when you are at that level of kind of self-mastery?
Okay, so from day-to-day experience, the masses live life day-to-day.
Okay.
If you experience your life with the amygdala and hippocampus active, you live a day-to-day life. You don't plan ahead, you do not have visions, and everything is right here, right now. So masses who experience life with the amygdala and hippocampus active usually earn and then spend what they earn. So masses usually earn as much as they spend. That's why they don't have a lot of savings and they're having a hard time building wealth. Masses live day to day. Masses are not visionaries, and masses have as much energy as they need for that day. Masses have as much creativity as they need for that day, have as much money as they need for that day. So when the day ends, they don't have the money, the energy, the health, like no savings. So when you look at the prefrontal cortex, it's all about being a visionary. It's all about planning for the future. So people who live life with the prefrontal cortex plan for the future. So at the end of the month, let me give you an example from a real life story, like my story.
Sure.
What happened with my life is, for example, I have more money at the end of the month than I can spend. I have more energy at the end of the day than I can spend. I have more energy, I have more creative ideas at the end of the month, at the end of the week, at the end of the year than I had been able to cover. Like I have so many creative ideas, I will need at least 50 more years to be able to just bring them into life. Mm-hmm. So that's how the prefrontal cortex works. But with the amygdala and hippocampus, it's all shrinked. So what happens with the consciousness is, our consciousness shrinks, our whole energy shrinks, our ideas, our creativity, our potential shrinks when we experience life with the hippocampus and amygdala. Our vision, our consciousness, our creativity expands, our energy expands when we live life with an activated prefrontal cortex. So everything just gets activated and you start connecting with the prefrontal cortex. People over here, probably 10% of the people over here, whose prefrontal cortex is activated are just in connection telepathically with everyone in this whole place right now. I can literally read people's minds all around in the space right now. So it's like with the prefrontal cortex activated, you connect with humanity, you connect with the universe, you just expand, you are in connection with one big giant mind, and you are beyond time and space. So the more the consciousness expands, the more you go beyond time and space. The more the consciousness shrinks, you start experiencing gravity, you start experiencing time and space. And this is exactly what Deepak Chopra is talking about when he's saying timeless body,
I want to check
timeless mind, ageless body.
Are you okay with this type of concept? Are you good with the idea that one can go into this level of awareness, self connection, transcend the limitations, the reactive nature? Is this not losing you guys at this time in the morning? Good. I just wanted to check because this lady's about to take us to another stratosphere.
By the way,
checking in.
By the way, how I started my journey was I got interested in the science of enlightenment.
Okay.
I started researching on the science behind what people call enlightenment, because enlightenment is real. self-mastery is real.
How does that relate to business, though?
I wanted to know, great, I wanted to know the science behind it, and I literally find the science behind it. It's like basically the prefrontal cortex activated, but it's not easy because I talked about it yesterday. Why isn't it easy? Because we judge and because we are conditioned. Why is only 10% of world population leaders? And this is research. I'm not telling just by my own. The last research done with Gallup, which is one of the biggest research companies, states that right now only 10% of the world population is leaders, and who are living life with the prefrontal cortex activated. 90% are masses, who are governed, who are managed, who are manipulated, who are in instinctive, impulsive, addictive behavior, uncontrollable behavior, who experience emotions like stress, like fear, and like all shrinked emotions. So why only 10% have activated prefrontal cortex? So there is something called episodic memories in the brain, in neurology, neuroscience.
I have so many questions, but I'm going to let you go.
Okay.
So apologies.
So why is because we are all conditioned. And our whole educational system and everything in the world, because it is focused on masses, are created around conditioning human behavior. And I have studied human behavior. You can condition and manipulate human behavior. And because we live in communities, self-development is very important. So the leaders have to condition masses so that they don't act wild and do stupid stuff. So people who do not have the ability to govern themselves need to be governed. We need to understand that, because if you can't govern yourself, actions and behaviors, you need to be governed, or else we have chaos in the community. So that's why the whole educational system and everything is for the masses. Everything is all about self-development, and everything is all about conditioning human behavior, and we're all conditioned. We are conditioned in what is right and what's wrong. We are conditioned in how we have to act and what we have to do and what we must do and what ought to do. And until we question all of the ideas in our minds that start with I need to, I ought to, I have to, we are just part of the masses. Leaders are the ones who question thoughts like right and wrong and I have to and I ought to. And like Socrates says, the moment you start questioning your own mind, you start thinking. Because only when you start questioning the automatic thinking habits you have and the judgments you have, what you call right and wrong, only when you start questioning what you have been calling right for many years, you start thinking and you start activating the prefrontal cortex. Right, this is right. Who said it? How do I know that it is right? How do I know that it is wrong? Like I have to do this. How do I know? Why? Why do I have to do that? I need to do this. I ought to do this. I should be doing this. And there are tens of thousands of thoughts sitting in your mind filled with conditioning, like conditioned thoughts, probably tens of thousands of them sitting in your mind, that result in episodic memories. Episodic memories are photographic memories sitting inside our brain synapses. These are stored in our amygdala and hippocampus. These are real, which leads to instinctive and impulsive behavior, like controllable. So the more judgments and the more automatic thinking habits you have, the more conditioned you are in your mind. If you don't do anything about it, like I did, like people who gained the mastery of their minds did, there is no way you are freeing from amygdala and hippocampus, because these episodic memories are real. They are sitting in the hippocampus and amygdala, resulting in instinctive behavior. So first I thought maybe because what's taught to masses is this. If you practice meditation, you activate the prefrontal cortex. If you practice meditation enough, you are going to activate the prefrontal cortex. If you do breathing that activates the third eye, you're going to activate the prefrontal cortex. I believed in it and practiced breathing exercises to activate the third eye, practiced meditation for hours a day. It's great, it does activate the prefrontal cortex. But what happens is, again, research shows that in masses, you can activate the prefrontal cortex by doing like classic Vedic meditation for at least 20 minutes. And then in 20 minutes, this is neuroscience, they did research, you probably maybe read it, around classic Vedic meditation, the prefrontal cortex does get activated after 20 minutes. But what happens is, if you have enough episodic memories and judgments and conditioning, because they are stored in amygdala and hippocampus, in between 5 to 6 hours, oxygen and blood rushes back to this place. And you're again managed by the lower parts of the brain. You again shrink, you're again in fear, you're again in stress. I experienced it myself. 20 minutes, half an hour, 1 hour meditation, and then I would feel great. I would see visions and I would start seeing the future, and I would have all kinds of creative ideas, and I would feel great and balanced and in tune and centered. And in 5 to 6 hours, I would lose it again. Then I had to sit down to meditation, practice breathing exercises, kept on going until I found the methods to crash, literally, the episodic memories in the brain. Now, we have scientific methods we're using in this business mastery program as well, in the curriculum and in the business mastery program. We literally neutralize the episodic memories. And when they are neutralized, done. Like me, like all my students, you are living and experiencing life with the prefrontal cortex activated. And since the past 16 years, I haven't had a day of my life, a time, I said something like, oh, I did this unconsciously, sorry. You know, I wasn't aware of my actions. I wasn't aware of what I said. You know, I got angry. You know, I didn't mean to. I haven't experienced such a thing for the past 16 years. I am aware. I am awake. I am conscious of all my behaviors, and this is possible. And on top of it, you ask Elon Musk, so why am I more and more getting interested in helping entrepreneurs? Because I've been leading my own businesses for over 23 years now. And entrepreneurship is tough. If you don't align, if I don't, we don't, if you're entrepreneurs, we don't align all of our actions and behaviors to one goal, there's no way we're going to succeed and create meaningful and amazing businesses. Like for me to get to where I want to get to in 20 years, 10 years, all my actions have to be, first of all, directly correct. Everything I'm doing right now has to be aligned with where I want to go to. People, the masses, because they experience life day to day, they literally just hang around. I don't have time to hang around. I have a clear vision, I have a clear mission, I have set clear goals. I don't have a minute to waste. So that's the difference between the prefrontal cortex and the lower parts of the brain. When you experience life with the prefrontal cortex, you have a clear vision, you have a clear mission. Every action you are in today is moving you towards your tomorrow. If you're experiencing life with the hippocampus, amygdala active, you don't know basically what you're doing. And you're in nonsense and meaningless actions, which I talked about yesterday. Like This is where we are aligned with the mean, and we are in meaningful actions. We create meaningful relationships, meaningful businesses, sustainable businesses. This is where we act intuitively, instinctively, we act in a conditioned way. We are doing what every other people are doing, no creativity, nothing special. We don't differentiate. You just create companies just like the other companies. You just create relationships just like the other people. And because you don't have a clear vision and mission, which is only happening here, your actions are just daily, intuitive, impulsive actions which do not give you the results you want.
What's the experience of life when you're living from the prefrontal cortex? How do you feel? What is...
You don't experience emotions. That's what you govern. We govern emoting. Like all of the emotions, animals are emotional. The animal mind is emotional. The shrinked lower parts of the brain is emotional. This is where the emotions are stored. Past experiences are stored. When I'm in the prefrontal cortex, I don't experience emotions. So when you meet, and I have had the chance to work with entrepreneurs around the world who have high IQs and who are geniuses, the higher the IQ gets, the less emotional people are. Have you experienced this? Like where the higher the IQ, the less emotional. The lower the IQ, when you look at low socioeconomical groups, they're highly emotional, they are highly impulsive, they are highly instinctive, they have addictions, they have more illnesses and diseases. So the less episodic memories we have in the brain, the less judgments and conditioning we have in our minds, the more we can activate the prefrontal cortex, which I call the crown, like the place where self-mastery sits in the brain, the less emotions we experience, and we connect with our geniusness.
And does that help us tap into our purpose, our why, our reason?
Yes, we have a clear why, we have a clear mission, we are connected with the mean. I keep on experiencing we're connected with basically the mean,
Meaning.
the formula of life, the magnet of life, which is real, and we start seeing opportunities where other people see disasters. There are opportunities in all disasters, but because people can't look in a balanced way. For example, nowadays I meet a lot of people thinking war, for example, is only harmful, but it does create opportunities and benefits because everything is coming back to the mean. And like in atomic particles, the negative can't exist without the positive. So there has to be a positive in everything you think as negative. But people who only see the negative, who don't see the positive, are not looking at the mean, are not seeing the meaning. That's why while Elon Musk is creating billion-dollar companies, because he is aligned with the mean and he can see both the positive and negative, masses who think war is only negative and harmful don't experience that. They are just masses who are in judgments and who are in distorted perceptions.
I mean, that's a quite strong concept.
Yes, self-awakening is seeing what is real. So when you look at physics, math, everything is trying to come back to the mean.
Okay.
Everything is coming back to point zero. When you look at atomic particles, when you look at quantum physics, when you look at physics, when you look at research on quantum entanglement, positive doesn't exist with negative and negative doesn't exist with positive.
Okay.
So I must be mad to think an experience is more negative than positive, because it isn't. Physically, it's impossible.
And so when we bring this back to our own businesses or creating companies that have value, that are impactful, that are aligned with our purpose,
Yeah, whenever we are in a distorted perception, we are diseased. Whenever we are disaligned from the mean, what is, which is neutral and has equal benefits and drawbacks. So everything we experience in our life has equal drawbacks and benefits. Everything you see in the world has equal positives and negatives. Einstein was able to see it. Genius people are able to see it. Masses are not able to see it because masses are diseased. They are disconnected from the mean.
So anyone can awaken this?
If they practice the methods that can scientifically transform episodic memories. There is a science of enlightenment right now.
Can you give a structure? What is that? What are the exact systems that you've devised to support this awakening?
Okay. So the thing is, so when you look at how these episodic memories are, so like I said, episodic memories are nothing more than the result of distorted perceptions. Whenever we are aligned with the mean, what is real, whenever we only look at the mean, the prefrontal cortex is activated, we see equal drawbacks and benefits. Negative and positive are equal. There is nothing to be feared of, and there is nothing to be infatuated of as well. There is no infatuation, there is no excitement, because nothing is more positive than negative, or nothing is more negative than positive. There is no fear. So fear is the result of thinking what you're experiencing has more drawbacks than benefits. When you're in a distorted perception, like all masses are, and you think something is causing more harm than benefits, you experience fear. Genius people don't do that. People who do not have that much of episodic memories, who have high IQs, look at every situation and see drawbacks and benefits equally. Because in every situation, there's no positive, there's no negative. Masses get excited easily because they think sensationally, and they might think there is something, like you might sometimes be thinking there are more benefits in a situation than harm or drawbacks, which is not the case, and then you get excited, then you get elated, and you get infatuated with someone or a situation, and that's why you do mistakes. That's why Warren Buffett keeps on saying, if you can't manage your emotions, you can't manage your money. People make all kinds of stupid investments. People make all kinds of stupid choices. Entrepreneurs make all kinds of stupid choices because they get excited about an idea and they can't see the drawbacks. And that's why I say, as an investor, I do not ever invest in founders and entrepreneurs who haven't mastered their emotions. Because if you get excited easily, you're going to make stupid choices. If you get in fear easily, you're going to make stupid choices. And the more episodic memories you have, the more you get excited. Excited because you are in a one-sided, delusional life experience. So episodic memories lead to delusional life experiences. When we look at something and we think there is more negative, so listen to this part very carefully. This is the answer to your question. So whenever we look at a situation and we think there is more negative than positive in the situation, we are delusional, we are in an illusion. And reality isn't that. In reality, in physics, in math, positive and negative are always equal. The more positive, the more negative. Quantum entanglement, physics, math, everything needs to be equal. So when I think an experience has more negatives or drawbacks than benefits or positives, that's not the case, but I'm in a delusion. And what happens is, the positives I do not want to see are stored in amygdala and hippocampus of the brain as photographic memories, which is named as episodic memories in neuroscience. So the moment I look at a situation, for example, war, as an example, because the masses keep on thinking war only has negatives. Okay, for example, war, you only see negatives. But in reality, in physics, in math, in science, there's no such thing. Not even one incident has more drawbacks or benefits. Not one thing in the world has more positive or negatives. And I can prove it with the laws of physics and science, which I'm not going to go into detail. But Einstein did prove it. So when I look at something and see it as negative, I am delusional. And what happens is, the positive side of that story, for example, you're watching something in news, and you freak out, and you're in fear, you're emotionally charged, you're in amygdala and hippocampus, you're triggered because you only think that situation is negative. The positive side of that situation don't go anywhere. It gets stored in the amygdala and hippocampus inside your brain as photographic memories that are known as episodic memories in the brain, that lower your IQ, that keep you in instinctive impulsive behavior, that constantly keeps you in amygdala and hippocampus, and that is how masses are being governed. That is how, that is why big companies are paying hundreds of $millions to human behavioral experts like me, so that we can create sensational ads, freak you out. I can arouse you with an ad. I can create sensational videos about the war and can create a lot of fear and manage your buying decisions and all of your actions and all of your behaviors. Fear, arousal, and excitement are the story of the masses. So a master can't be manipulated, can't be governed. The prefrontal cortex, if you're living with the prefrontal cortex, you just follow your own path and you're unstoppable. So the moment I see a situation more positive than it is, the moment I see a situation more negative than it is, the moment I think I am experiencing something more beneficial or more harmful, whenever I think a situation has more benefits or more drawbacks, that's not the case. I am delusional. I am the opposite of being a genius. Genius people see drawbacks and benefits equally. So enlightenment is having the ability to see what is real. Being awake is seeing equal benefits and drawbacks in all situations and not experiencing emotions. Whenever I see more benefits, I experience arousal. Think of it. Whenever you think a situation has more benefits, you're aroused and you're excited. That's how people make stupid investment decisions. That's how millions of people made stupid decisions in Turkey, for example, with Bitcoin, and they lost hundreds of millions of dollars because someone just decided to do a sensational news about Bitcoin and aroused people, and people started thinking it was a great opportunity without seeing the drawbacks. And with being aroused and excited, they just, like robots, they were manipulated, and they just put their whole money, invested their whole money and lost it. That's why Warren Buffett keeps on saying, if you can't manage your emotions, you can't manage your money. If you are easily excited, if you're easily aroused, I'm gonna manage and govern you every time. I'm gonna arouse you. If I show you something delusional, and that's what's going on with the masses. And if you're someone who believes in such a thing. Like if you're someone who believes that there can be more benefits to a situation than drawbacks, you're easily manipulated. And then those are stored in the amygdala, and you are even more manipulated. That's the story of the masses. By the way, I'm coming from, my background has also had some media, because my first ex-husband owned a media company.
Okay.
We had a local TV station, which I managed for 5+ years. And if you're from media, you know that the more sensational, the more better. There is no way a video can be watched by tens of millions of people if it's not delusional. Write it down. There is no way a video can be watched by the masses, tens of millions of people, if it's real. It has to be delusional. It has to be one-sided. If I tell you Trump is not that bad, he also has some gifts, he also has some nice traits about him. You're not going to watch a video about Trump. But if I make him a devil, if I can show the evil side of him without showing you the angelic side, hundreds of millions of people will watch that video. But if I just show you both sides, he's just human. No one cares. He's just like you. He's both the devil and the angel. He has good sides and bad sides, and he tells the truth as much as you all do. He lies as much as you all do. Then no one will watch it. So masses are interested in delusion. Masses are interested in sensations. Masses have lots of episodic memories that keep them in instinctive, impulsive behavior. And we're never going to, I as an entrepreneur, investor, as someone who wants to master life, I'm not ever going to be able to master my life if I have episodic memories and I stay in amygdala. So the process goes, what we do is, the deep work we do with entrepreneurs, with my students, we go back to the moment the episodic memories was created with quality questions. So I ask you a question, go to a moment where and when you perceived that incident or individual demonstrating that trait, action in action, you perceive as beneficial. Go to a moment when you are infatuated, or go to a moment when you are despised by something. And then I lead you into a process to find that photographic memory. Because like I said, and this is neuroscience, this is known. The moment you judge a situation as good or bad, because the situation is never only good or bad, you create a photographic memory in your brain that is stored. So you literally push that incident in your subconscious. That's how we create episodic memories, photographic memories. You look at a situation, you call it beneficial, you are delusional, you don't want to see the drawbacks. So where are the drawbacks? Stored in your subconscious. Because you are the one who doesn't want to see the drawbacks. There is equal benefits and drawbacks. You chose not to see the drawbacks. You chose to see war as something only harmful and bad. You chose it. In reality, it has equal drawbacks and benefits. You chose to be delusional. So it's like your brain is telling you, okay, if you don't want to see the benefits, I'm going to keep on storing the benefits from you, from your awareness. I'm going to keep on storing those in your subconscious as photographic memories, because the brain doesn't have a choice. So with judging the situation as good or bad, with being one-sided in our minds, we create episodic memories. And there is a system a unique scientific system where we ask you certain questions. We go to the episodic memory, to the photographic memory. You just go back to that time when you judge the situation, someone, an action as beneficial. And I ask you, okay, in that moment, for example, you see something as only beneficial. I ask you, go to that moment, and then I ask you, are you there? And whenever you're there, I then ask you, okay, how was it a drawback to you and to everyone over there? If you're seeing the situation as good, I lead you into process where you see the downsides. If you see the positive, I lead you into process where you see the negatives. If you see it only negative, I lead you into a procedure where you can see the positives so that you can awaken, enlighten, activate the prefrontal cortex, connect with what is real. And when the prefrontal cortex gets activated and when you see what is real, your heart opens up because you start seeing the universal perfect order behind your own delusional chaos. There is no chaos in the universe. There is nothing wrong in life. You are delusional, that's the problem. We are delusional. And we can go back, and like I said, I've been interested in the science of enlightenment, and now we have the science. We have the methods. We can go back to the episodic memories, clear them out, and people can experience life with the prefrontal cortex activated and become unstoppable.
And this is what you teach.
Not only teach, but we work together.
Okay.
So that's why, like the Business Mastery Program is a 1 year long program.
Yeah.
We start, we keep on working, and your mission, you get clear on your mission, you get clear on your vision, what you're gifted in. Because if you're not clear in your head, many people, just because they have a lot of distorted perceptions and episodic memories, don't even know what their gifts are. I tell my students, you're sitting on top of $100 million right now, and you don't recognize it because you don't recognize who you are, your gifts. Because if your mind is delusional and you have too much episodic memories, you don't connect with who you are, your why, your mission, your gifts. But once you do, it's like something amazing happens. You start differentiating from all humans. You become a real leader. You become aware of your gifts, your uniqueness, your power, your real essence, and you start creating something amazing.
Wow.
Like Elon Musk, like Steve Jobs, like all the other leaders that were clear about their own gifts. If your mind is clear, your path is clear.
Maybe we should open this up to the forum for any questions. Does anyone have any questions at this moment?
Let's go.
Yeah? Okay. What's
Last day, yay.
I was just going to ask, so if we're having like thoughts around I need and I have to, is the goal to get to a place of having conscious thoughts around I want to? Is that
Okay.
where you were leading to with it?
The goal is, so the reason why we have thoughts like I have to, I got to, I ought to, or the reason why people are trying to do the right thing in the first place is because they think there's a right way of doing things. That is the conditioning. So for example, if I think holding the microphone with my left hand is better than holding the microphone in my right hand, I'm gonna have a thought, I need to hold the microphone in my right hand. If you are conditioned, for example, let's give an example. For example, if you think being nice is better than being cruel, you are going to try to be a nice person, and you're going to try to run away from your cruelty, which is facade, which is impossible, because humans are equally kind and cruel. There is no way you can ever change that. You are as kind and as cruel as anyone in the world. But you might have a delusion, you might have an illusion that people can be more kind, But science shows the opposite. It is not possible. So the more you try to be kind, the more judgmental thoughts you'll have, like, I need to be kind, I have to be kind. And the more episodic memories you have, the more impulsive you're gonna be, the more delusional you're gonna be, and the less you can govern yourself, and the more other people will govern you. So our goal is going back to the memory when you first started thinking, or when you first started seeing, for example, kindness better than cruelty, when you first started seeing more benefits than drawbacks in being kind. And then I'm going to ask you to go back to the moment and then see the drawbacks of being kind. Like now, go to a moment when you were really kind to someone and think of the drawbacks. How did they draw back from being kind? Like people, addiction is the result of extra supportive and kind parents. Did you know that? We create addictive children by being extra supportive. Because when you're extra supportive to your children and you don't challenge them enough, they just don't care. They can be, I mean, if you're like, and to yourself as well. Like if I don't challenge myself enough, I can easily be addictive, I can easily be overweight, I can easily lose my health, lose my wealth, everything.
Sick.
Being cruel have equal drawbacks and benefits to being kind.
No.
If you go back to enough moments like I did and see yourself being cruel to someone, how did they benefit? Like what do they learn? How did they benefit? How their lives changed because of your cruel act? You're going to be amazed. So the goal is going back to those moments and clearing the episodic memories. Because then we don't have thoughts like I have to, I ought to. The prefrontal cortex don't think that way. The prefrontal cortex just acts. So people who are masters just act. They do not act with I have to, I ought to. Masses try to do the right thing. And when you're trying to do the right thing, you lose your self-governance ability.
I love the idea of the balanced approach. So if you're thinking it's really great, you need to weigh up the positives and the negatives. My question is, does that make making a decision more difficult? Because if you weigh it up and you can see the negatives and
Exactly.
the positives are equal, how do you make a decision?
You don't. That's why you stick on your path. That's why only people who do not have episodic memories, delusional thoughts, and emotions have a clear purpose. Because if you are delusional, if you think, like I say, if I think holding the microphone on my left hand is better than holding it on my right hand, I'm going to keep on holding it on my left hand. I'm going to keep on deciding. But then, for example, there is more people over here. And they need to hear my message. I keep on talking this way, and these people don't get it. It's like we are two sides. There's two sides of the story, and successful people are using both sides of their humanity. Highly successful individuals. I did a lot of research. Highly successful individuals, highly successful entrepreneurs are not one-sided. They are not nice or cruel. They are both nice and cruel equally. Elon Musk, because you gave the example, I don't know him personally, but the people who invested in him invested in one of my companies as well. So I know him in a way, personally, with personal interaction. He's neither nice, neither cruel. He's both. He's neither good, neither bad. He's both. If you want to reach to your highest potential, you have to get rid of your delusions about life. This is right, this is wrong, that's bullshit. There's no right, there's no wrong. And you're going to be a full 100% human with the highest level of potential only when you're a full human. Not trying to do the right, not trying to do the wrong, and you're not delusional. That's why I lead people into working with the episodic memories to clear them out. Like, that's the only way. And with the prefrontal cortex, we don't make decisions because the only way you need to make a decision, the need to make a decision is coming from judgments. Only when I am judging a situation as good or bad, I will need to decide. If I don't have a judgment about which is good or bad, like this hand or that hand, I do whatever the fuck I want. I hold it in this hand, and then I hold it in this hand. This moment, it's on my hand. This moment, it's on my hand. So I become full potential. If I have a judgment and I'm trying to hold it in this hand, it's as if I don't have a right hand. I am half human. If you're trying to run away from your cruelty, and if you're trying to be a kind person, you are half human. Don't expect yourself to do amazing stuff in business. That's why I don't invest in entrepreneurs who are half, who try to do the right thing. I won't invest in you. If you are ready to do whatever is needed to reach your goal, good or bad, angel or evil, then I'm going to invest in you for sure. I'm going to invest in, I will keep on investing in devils and angels, like who have both sides. I'm not going to invest in someone who is like, who has ideas like holding the microphone in my left hand is better than holding it in my right hand. Health. Investors do not invest in entrepreneurs who are trying to be nice, who are trying to be kind, who are trying to be good, who are trying to do the right thing, who are health.
It's time.
That